Ferrari. If you're a petrolhead, the name alone is enough to conjure up images of iconic scarlet red sports cars from the brand's history. And what a history it is. Even in the modern era, with special mid-engine models like the 360 Challenge Stradale, 430 Scuderia and 458 Speciale, the back catalogue is littered with hits. And now, there's a new release. This is the 488 Pista, Ferrari's latest special series model. It's based on the regular 488 GTB, but the firm's engineers have tweaked, fettled and developed almost every area of the car to make it harder, faster and more responsive. So, what's the 488 Pista like to drive?
Well, in a word, it is fantastic. In fact, it's absolutely mesmerising. And the first thing you notice about it is that engine. 3.9 litre twin turbo V8, 710 horsepower. And Ferrari claim 0 to 62 miles per hour in, and I quote, 2.85 seconds. Not sure why I need to go to two figures there, but it feels good for that every bit.
That's because there are so many changes here. Every single gram possible has been saved. So with all the lightweight options, the Pista is up to 90 kilograms lighter than a 488 GTB. Among those features are a new, lighter Inconel exhaust, while the engine gets new titanium connecting rods, new turbochargers, a lighter flywheel and crankshaft, and even hollow inlet valves.
With the torque that the engine's got, 770 Newton meters, the punch out of corners is absolutely astonishing. I cannot believe how quickly this engine revs, and that's something Ferrari's really worked on, response time for a turbocharged engine. And it just picks up and goes. In fact, you don't actually get all of the torque until you're in 7th gear, and that is a very, very clever engineering solution, because it means as the torque ramps up in every gear, the motor feels more like a naturally aspirated engine in how it ramps up to the 8,000 RPM redline. But there's the boost and the torque. It is absolutely phenomenal. But it's not just the motor, this car, and combined with a new system from Ferrari called its Dynamic Enhancer, it's so much fun. That's one thing Ferrari's really focused on, being fun to drive. And given the 488 Pista's performance levels, they've really achieved that. The Dynamic Enhancer works with the side slip control, it works with the F1 track, it works with the eDiff, and it just gives you the ability to really, really play with the car so nicely.
The system is yet another evolution on top of the tech in the 488 GTB. But in the Pista, it's plumbed into the ESC system as well, so it can adjust braking force at each individual caliper, reacting quicker to your inputs and smoothing out the intervention to make this a more responsive and more rewarding car to drive. It's intelligent too, so if the car senses you applying some corrective steering, it'll also let you use more throttle. But it's not the limit of the Pista's talents.
The chassis is also magnificent. The steering's been carried over from the 488 GTB. However, some geometry tweaks and a new tyre means that the weighting is actually slightly heavier. It's just as fast, but with that little bit more resistance, it actually gives you more confidence in the front end of the car. And there is so much grip. You can throw this thing at corners, and on the road, you need to push extremely hard to make it understeer. Given how focused the Pista is though, it's actually surprisingly livable. I mean, that new Inconel exhaust is definitely louder, and you notice that inside, and the cabin's stripped out. There's a lot of carbon fibre in here and aluminium floor plates, but as long as you press the bumpy road mode button on the steering wheel when you get in, the dampers just slacken off that little bit so the car breathes with the road. And on bumpy tarmac like this, it makes it very predictable and actually quite a nice flowing experience. The standard setting is maybe a little bit stiff for gnarly UK roads, but after all, this is a track car. So let's see how it works on the track.
In fact, translated from Italian, pista literally means track, so there was no better place to test it than Ferrari's Fiorano circuit, which is where another of the car's enhancements comes into its own. Like a lot of the pista, the aerodynamics have been inspired by motorsport, so there's an F1 derived S-duct at the front, more scoops and vents, a bigger fixed spoiler and an enhanced diffuser with active aerodynamic flaps at the rear. It means downforce is up by 20%, which you really notice in the high-speed corners. On a circuit, the pista's responses feel just as quick, like the car's keener to turn in. The dynamic enhancer works just as well here, where you've got even more room to explore, so exploiting the car's beautiful balance is even easier. And that's what makes it so approachable. But it's not just one area that makes the pista such a joy to drive. Every part works in harmony, which means this special series Ferrari is exactly that. Click the video window on the left for a review of the 488 Pista's predecessor, the 458 Speciale, and the window on the right to watch a review of the Ferrari 488 Spider. If you like this video, make sure you click on the Auto Express logo to subscribe. Thanks for watching.